Today we're going to be investigating a goldenrod jungle. It's like 1,000 pots of gold. Which would be easier to find? 1,000 pots of gold all together in one place, or 1,000 pots of gold scattered over the countryside? Of course it'd be easier to find them if they were all together in one place. A plant that holds 1,000 pots of gold is a goldenrod. Each flower that you see on the goldenrod plant is really many flowers. Goldenrods are a sure sign that summer is ending and fall is on the way. There are over 100 different kinds in North America, and they grow just about everywhere, from the mountainside to the seaside, along dry roads, in moist woods, and in Bankhead City lots. They are the state flower of Kentucky and Nebraska. Because of its visibility, you probably already know just where to go to find a goldenrod plant in bloom right now. If so, it would be a fascinating place for you to begin your investigation of how things fit together in God's world. If you get hay fever, you may think it might be caused by the goldenrod, but it's not true. As you investigate, try to answer these questions. Number 1, what creatures live in the goldenrod jungle? Number 2, how do some of the creatures help the goldenrod? Number 3, how does the goldenrod help them? Number 4, what provision has God given each of the creatures for getting the food that it needs? Number 5, what has God given to each creature to protect it from its enemies? And number 6, in what different ways has God provided for plants and animals to survive in the winter? Why did God make goldenrods so bright and visible? Probably it was partially so that we could enjoy their beauty in the fall and give thanks to Him. There is a more important reason for the plant, however. Like many flowering plants, goldenrod depend mostly on insects to move life-giving pollen from the flower's male parts, the stamens, to the female parts, the pistils. It is the underdeveloped seeds at the base of the pistils that can grow into new plants. The transfer of pollen from the male parts to the female parts of plants is called pollination. After the flower is pollinated, tiny sperm cells in the pollen fertilize or unite with the underdeveloped seeds at the base of the female part. Now the seed will be able to grow into new plants, each after its own kind. Pollen is a yellow dust that the flowers use in producing seeds. Nectar is a sweet liquid that flowers make in order to attract insects. The masses of bright color and pollen and sweet nectar produced by the flowers attract hundreds of insects to the goldenrod plant, making the goldenrod a miniature jungle. In fact, goldenrod is probably the chief source of pollen and nectar for insects in the fall. With the huge compound eyes, insects spy the flower, and with their antennae or feelers, they smell the nectar. Because goldenrod is so very rich in pollen and nectar, a good way to begin an investigation of insects in action is to visit a goldenrod plant on a sunny day and watch it very quietly. You should see many of the insects pictured on page 9, and you may find some of the others as well. The honeybee is the first insect you will spot, no doubt, on the busy golden-colored honey. One of the first insects you will spot, no doubt, will be the busy golden-colored honeybee. She will be so occupied collecting food for winter storage that she will pay no attention to you. Notice the bee's covering of short, fine hairs. Watch her collect the pollen with her front legs, pass it to the middle legs, and then back to the pollen baskets on her hind legs. Can you see her comb or the pollen out of her hair? You might also see the honeybee sipping sweet nectar from the flowers with her short tongue. She gathers just one sip at a time and carries it home on her special honey stomach. Other bees take the nectar and turn it into honey. It takes 4 bee loads of nectar to make 1 drop of honey. Now you know why the bee is so busy. The supply of pollen and nectar the bees are now storing has to last them throughout the winter and into the spring. Sometime during the fall, the male bees, or the drones, who have no stingers and do no work, mate with the queen bees. Then the drones die. The queens, the female bees, mate and lay eggs, and the workers, the female bees that do not mate and lay eggs, live on through the winter. Honeybees stay awake in their hives during winter, keeping close together and moving their wings for warmth. Each hive has 1 queen bee and many workers. All through the winter, the queen and the workers live on the pollen and nectar gathered in the fall from the goldenrod and the other plants. And you can read this and you can learn a little bit more about honeybees.